Hello, welcome to the reboot of an attempted podcast here. This is going to be called the Dierks and Denver Podcast. I'm here with my best friend Denver. We tried this, about a year and a half ago. We didn't really have a
Yep.
plan, and it showed. We were a little inconsistent with it, and it just kind of died out. But we think we have a better grasp on what's going on this time around and we're just here to have some fun. We're going to talk about sports, games, pretty much whatever interests us in the moment, and we're just here to have a good time. Um, these will be live streamed on Twitch as well as uploaded after the fact to YouTube and SoundCloud for the moment. And moving forward, that could change, but we will keep you updated. For now, we're just going to dive right into it. We thought, why not make a big splash right here, coming back to it. The Super Bowl is 4 days away. Should be a great one. And that's going to be the main topic of this first segment we're ever gonna do on the rebranded Dierks and Denver podcast. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm over here repping the Chiefs. The Chiefs. That's my team. Not really, but I live in Missouri, so makes it my
Yeah,
team.
that's a great point. Before he spews any of his BS, keep in mind and take everything that he says with a grain of salt because he lives 90 minutes, 2 hours north of Kansas City and has been kind of abducted by that fan base. So
It's
he's
very
gonna be
addictive.
he's gonna be a bit of a homer. I'm gonna ask him to do his best to keep everything relatively objective, but I know that probably won't happen. That's just what happens sometimes. But anyway, let's just get right into it. The Kansas City Chiefs, we've covered that already pretty intensively, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers meeting Super Bowl 55 this Sunday. What is that? February the 7th in 2021. The Chiefs, champions of the AFC, went 14-2. We can pretty much say that's 14-1 though, right? Like they didn't care about
Yeah.
that
Last
last regular
game,
season
bench players.
regular season game. Yeah, we got our boy Chad Henne, and he got absolutely dunked on. Came through in the clutch when it mattered, though. Anyway, moving on. And the Tampa Bay Bucks, who came out of the NFC at 11-5 in the regular season, they were the fifth seed, I believe, coming into the NFC playoffs, and ran the table,
Yes.
beat the unnamed Washington football team. I almost messed up and said what they used to be called. You should be proud of me. I didn't. We're getting there. It's only taken me, what, like a year?
Yeah.
And then round two, they went to New Orleans and beat the Saints. And then they caused the final upset right there in on Lambeau Field in front of, some, not all, but some Green Bay Packer fans. And people are a little mad about that. Maybe we'll get into that a little later. But that's how the Bucks got there. Chiefs by first round beat the Browns in round two due to the ballsiest play call I've ever seen in a game in my entire life, and then pretty much had their way with the Bills after the first quarter. And now we're here. So Denver, I'm just gonna let you take it away. What are your thoughts on this matchup? Just give me your 10,000 foot view.
Uh, Goat versus potential goat. That's what this is about. This isn't about the Bucks and the Chiefs. It's about Brady versus Mahomes. It's literally what was the present in the past, really over the last 20 years, meeting up with what could be the next 20 years. And that's excitement right there. That's what you look for. You look for who's going to come out swinging first, who's going to run the craziest plays, what defense is going to come out and play stellar, because we know defense does ultimately win championships. You can play the best offensive game of your life, but when it comes down to it, defense climbs up. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to that Brady Mahomes. Nothing else. I don't care. It's rude for me to say, but I don't care about anything else. I don't. It's what is the most exciting part about this game, and it is Tom Brady, 6 rings versus Patrick Mahomes. The young gunslinger has a championship already, going for 2 back-to-back. Who's the last quarterback to do that? Thomas Brady. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm gonna call up CBS. Maybe you can hop in for Jim Nantz or Tony Romo with that analysis right there. Love that. I couldn't really have said it any better. I don't remember which kind of bigwig sports personality said it, but basically this is a game that really isn't all that important for Brady's legacy, but it's going to be really important for Mahomes because not knowing what the future holds, this is just seeing what's right in front of us. This is really his opportunity to establish himself as really the heir apparent to that GOAT throne, right? And if Mahomes can't beat Brady here, if Mahomes kind of falls short and Brady walks away with ring number 7 in this game, and there is no rematch down the road, even though I do believe that is probably a distinct possibility the way it looks like both of these franchises are positioned, they're really, Brady might just kind of quash that argument right off the jump, no matter what Mahomes does from this point forward. If he loses this game to Brady and never gets a rematch, he really can't catch Brady at that point because Brady's beat him at the apex,
See, and that's the big. You stated it perfectly. This is Mahomes' legacy. It's crazy to think that when he's only in his 3rd year, right? But his legacy is on the line Sunday, and if he can take that and just go, which I believe he can just go. We're gonna see probably the greatest quarterback to ever play. Isn't it crazy? In our lifetime, we're gonna probably see the 2 greatest quarterbacks to ever play.
Yeah, it obviously depends how you weight that word greatest, right? Obviously, right now, there's no disputing if you're talking the combination of results on the field and then, as that translates to championships and relative talent. Brady's far and away the GOAT. He's blown Joe Montana out of the water. He's blown anybody else that you could possibly stack in that argument out of the water. Now, if you're talking greatest as talent-wise, that's a whole other argument. It's hard to argue that arm talent-wise, Mahomes has got to be probably the most talented quarterback that I've ever seen play. And if he can stack, 4, 5, 6 Super Bowls like Brady has on top of that talent that he has, it's going to be really hard to, keep him from attaining that greatest of all time title. Unless, as we've already went over, Brady could kind of make himself truly immortal here on Sunday.
If Brady does win, I will go to hell and back for the rest of my life telling people that Tom Brady is the greatest player to ever play. I don't care. You got 7 rings. People said you're a system quarterback. Well, first season in Tampa takes him to the fucking Super Bowl and wins. Come on. I'm really a Bears fan. Tom Brady could have played for us and taken us to the Super Bowl. That's what I think.
Nah, but you got money, Mitch. You're fine. You're positioned well for the future.
Yes, we'll talk about that later.
Of course. And when you really get into it, I will pull up on the YouTube version of this podcast if you are watching as well as listening. Here is the ESPN page for the game. You can see here Kansas City's favored by 3 points. I think that's come down a little bit. I think they opened as either 4 or 3.5 point favorites. So some money coming in on the Bucks to push that a little bit. That's probably right where it should be. I'm not gonna pretend I'm an expert, but you really can't have a game of this magnitude and put a 4.5 or higher line on it. especially with the dude who has made his case as perhaps the greatest team sport athlete ever on kind of defying the odds and finding ways to win in the clutch in these big games. And you see here, matchup predictor, pretty even. I tend to think that it really comes down to how the Chiefs start. I think this is the Chiefs' game to lose. If they start fast, can get an early lead and maintain that momentum, which is what they didn't do when these two teams met 10 weeks ago or whatever it was during the regular season, right? KC got the big lead early, and then they kind of let their foot off the gas, and that was what made the game interesting down the stretch. Now, if KC can do what they did before and jump out early, I don't believe in a game like this you're going to see Andy Reid and the boys take their foot off the gas. They're gonna keep it down, and you assume score some more points. Now, I think we're over under 56. I would, again, don't blame me if you lose money because you take my betting advice. I'm absolutely mediocre at best at it. But I think the over under right here for 56, I think that's a little low. So I'd take the over 100%. I think both teams probably could get up in the 30s. I like a little bit of a shootout in this game, and I'm excited for it.
I don't think so, Tim. I truly believe that based off the last game Tampa Bay played against the Packers, you really saw the flaws. Tom Brady threw 3 picks. People are overlooking that because they won. If he lost, you know what everyone would say? He threw 3 interceptions. I don't see Tampa Bay coming out and scoring over 30. I don't. And honestly, I think this is a lower scoring game than 56. I think Tampa Bay goes and plays the defense the Saints played, where it's deep safeties, so Mahomes can't throw deep. And I think the Chiefs end up playing as like aggressive blitz style defense, getting to Brady, making him throw fast. Like,
I do agree on that front. That's what Steve Spagnuolo, the DC for the Chiefs, that's what he's kind of made his living on, and that's what he's had success with. He's beat Brady once before in a Super Bowl, and so I can see how that goes. I don't know. It's so up in the air. I have such a poor read on this game. I feel like most games I can kind of wrap my head around, and I think it just comes down to the fact that these two quarterbacks, even though they're so different, they impact the game in such a similar way that, it's going to come down to, as you opened with, it's just going to be a duel between those two. And basically, whichever one has the better game, that team probably is going to come out on top.
Thank you for agreeing with me. I've been waiting my whole life to hear that.
That hurt pretty deep, I'm not going to lie. But, what do we know, right? We're just a couple of bums. We're not experts.
A couple of average Joes.
Anything else you want to say on this game?
No, I've said what I can say. Anyone watching or listening in the future, my take is Chiefs win. That's it. Thanks for coming out to my Super Bowl TED Talk.
There you go. Yeah, I'll take Kansas City to cover. I kind of like the over, but I can definitely see a world in which, again, as Denver hinted on, this is going to just pain me so much because I'm admitting he's right on 2 different points. If Steve Spagnuolo's defense and that scheme kind of works out and Brady can't do anything other than just get the ball out really fast and for, 2-3 yards at a time, you're gonna give up your place here and there, but that's gonna be very telling if the Chiefs defense, because obviously the Chiefs make their money on the offensive side of the ball, right? But if the Chiefs defense comes out to play, and conversely, if the Bucks defense comes out to play, it could be very, very, very interesting.
All right. Now that we've talked Super Bowl, let's talk the biggest trade. Because I was taking a nap when I woke up to the fantastic news that Matthew Stafford was traded to the Rams for Jared Goff and 2 first-round picks. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. Why? Who made this trade? You got old Jared Goff, okay? He has like a good season every like 2-3 years.
Denver,
Outside of that,
he's been in the league for like 4 or 5 years.
no. I'm talking Stafford.
Oh well, you said Jared Goff.
Oh, Stafford is just old Jared Goff.
Oh,
That's all he is. I don't. This was a poor trade. Look. Okay, Dirks, you take it away. I need a break before I have an aneurysm.
all right. Well, I'm really glad we didn't discuss this one at all beforehand. We haven't discussed anything we're talking about today ahead of time, other than we're gonna be talking about it. We didn't kind of air out what we're gonna want to cover. But it sounds like you and I could not be any further apart on this issue.
No.
I want to say it was from ESPN. I'm not gonna say that 100%, but it was like one of those dumb things that everybody does right after a trade happens. Who won the trade? And somehow they were arguing that the Lions won the trade. I could not disagree more. I understand the perceived value of first round picks, both in the NFL and NBA type stuff, right? I get it. Here's the deal. This was a trade made between a team that has admitted they're going to rebuild and a team that wants to win a Super Bowl and was just there a couple of years ago. And one team clearly got better after this trade in the immediate aftermath, and one team clearly got worse. The Rams legitimately can contend for a Super Bowl now, and the Lions have Jared Goff. That's what it comes down to. I'm not hating on Jared Goff, but here's the deal. When it comes to playing the quarterback position, there is one of these two men that's on the screen if you're with us on YouTube that is clearly better than the other. Now, one has obviously played for several more years, so you could argue that they've just had more chances. If you want to make that argument, fine. In the opportunities they've had, Goff has pretty much not done much. And Stafford somehow won like 7 games a season with an organization that doesn't want to win. And now he's on an organization that wants to win. And he has the arm talent to actually get the ball to some of those weapons. I'm really excited because I'm kind of a closet Rams fan. I like Sean McVay. I dig it. And I wish they would have beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, 2 years ago or whatever it was now. If they had Matt Stafford in that game, I think they might win.
No. I don't think either team won this trade. I think it's a lose-lose. I think Stafford is a subpar quarterback. Like, he's not good. When was the last time he won? No. When was the last time he won a season?
What do you mean? Like, had a winning season?
Yeah. When was the last time the Detroit Lions had a winning season?
Probably 4 years ago. I think I was a freshman in college.
Okay. Outside of that, how many winning seasons has Stafford took to the Lions?
I think he's taken him to the playoffs 3 times.
Okay.
In 11 years.
Okay. Goff has already taken the Rams to the playoffs 3 times.
Okay.
At least twice, I know for sure. Okay. My point being is I don't know if you trade for experience, if that's what I assume that's what is going for here, an experienced quarterback. I just think it's a lose-lose for both teams. I don't think Matthew Stafford makes the Rams any better than Jared Goff already had the Rams at.
I mean, you're very
And
wrong, but that's okay.
And I don't think Jared Goff definitely doesn't make the Lions any better. The Lions just don't have anything. I mean, they probably do. If I break down and look at things and all that good jazz, they probably do have some stuff.
I'm gonna drop a knowledge bomb on you that shows, in my opinion, how slept on Matt Stafford is, and how just kind of incapable the Lions had to have been during his time there to not have more success. I don't think that's very indicative of Stafford's talent. I think that's more of what he had around him, right? I read this immediately in the aftermath of the trade. There are 2 quarterbacks in the history of the league to throw for more than 4,000 or 45,000 yards in a career and have less than 150 interceptions. One is Aaron Rodgers, and the other is Matt Stafford.
Because Matt Stafford gets injured every other year.
You don't throw for 45,000 yards in 11 seasons being hurt the whole time. That's completely false.
Look, I just think it's a poor trade. We'll see next season. I want to go back to this. I want to go back to this podcast, our first podcast, and I want to see how the Rams do next year. If the Rams come out swinging, I'll be like, holy fuck, Dierks was right.
Get this, right? Okay. I'm just going to throw this out there. You brought up that they've made the playoffs the same amount of times, even though that Stafford's played a lot more. Whatever, right? Here's another thing. During that time, the Rams have had the entire time a very capable running game. They had Gurley there for the first 3, maybe even the 4 seasons Goff has been in LA, right? And now this year they had Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Stafford, it was something like he's averaged in his 11 years in Detroit, he had 10 games in which a running back ran for 100 yards. Less than 1 game a season where a running back produced 100 yards in a game. He had the whole load of the offense on him to win every game. He's going to be able to have a mad play action game in LA. And if you even think these two are comparable in terms of their arm talent, you're insane. One of these dudes can throw the football, and the other one is Jared Goff. The Rams offense, think about it this way. What was the limiting factor in the Lions offense? It wasn't the passing game. What was the limiting factor in the Rams offense these past full 5 years? It's the fact that they couldn't stretch the ball down the field because Goff is god-awful outside of 15 yards. Now, you give Matt Stafford, it's not like they had like crazy different weapons too, right? I mean, Stafford has had Calvin Johnson those first several years, right? So that's easily the best target that either of them has ever thrown to. But you figure these last few years, they've been relatively equal at the very least. Stafford has Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones, and Goff has Robert Woods. God, why can't I think of his name? Cooper Kupp. Like, it's not like Goff hasn't had someone to throw to. It's that he struggles more than Stafford at distributing the ball. I think the Rams won this by a long shot because they got an upgrade at like the one position that was limiting them offensively, and they had the best defense in the league last year.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't like
Oh,
Stafford. I think it's maybe because he was in the Lions.
yeah, 100%. It's because you're letting your Bears bias come out again. Maybe the Lions beat you guys a few too many times, and that hurt you. But I
Hey,
mean, Matt
look,
Stafford. Matt Stafford was a
let me
really
live
good
in my
quarterback
feelings.
on a bad team. I'll say it this way again. I feel like I'm really hating on Jared Goff. I think Jared Goff is worthy probably of being an NFL starting quarterback, but I'll leave it at this too. These guys were both number one overall picks, right? One was worthy of that spot, and the other is Jared Goff.
Oh man, that's poor Jared. All right,
Yeah,
well, we're on the topic of
I don't want to hate on him, right? But it, other than the fact that the Lions didn't come away with nothing, right? They have somebody who's at least gonna keep them in some games, I guess. And then they got a couple first round picks. That's never a bad thing. But I think if you're looking at this, and obviously the teams are in very different situations as I mentioned before, but if you're looking at this from just who is better today, or which franchise is in a better position today than they were, right before the trade, I think it's 100% the Rams, and you'd be incredibly hard pressed to convince me otherwise. Because now that they have an upgraded quarterback, I think they can win the Super Bowl.
look, agree to disagree. But while we're talking quarterbacks, there are two quarterbacks in this league today that want out of their team. Who should we talk about first?
I'll leave that to you. You brought it up. You can lead us in.
Okay, let's start with the earliest one. Let's start with Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is been asking for a trade since the Jalen Hurts start in like week 12 or 13 or whatever it was. Maybe it was even earlier than that. Look, Carson Wentz. I remember that because he got drafted second to Jared Goff, right? That was that same year, correct? I'm not losing my mind.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
We'll say yes.
Okay. Carson Wentz is overrated as fuck. I'm sorry to get demonetized, but we can't even get monetized yet. So
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go
Carson
through and
Wentz.
bleep all this shit out, man. What are you doing?
Carson Wentz is overrated. I don't think he didn't win a Super Bowl. Yeah, his stats. You just pulled them up. What is that? I mean, 2017 was a good year.
That was
The
the year.
anomaly.
That was the year that they were on their way to the Super Bowl when he got hurt, and
The anomaly.
he would have won MVP had he not gotten hurt.
Carson Wentz deserves to go to. You know where I think he would fit?
Tell me.
The Giants. He deserves to carry a trash team because he is a trash quarterback. I want to clip that, send it to him on Twitter. Hopefully, he responds to me with like "Is this you, bro?" Like, I don't give a fuck.
Uh,
But seriously, Carson Wentz he's not good. As you can see, his last year he was 31st in the league, almost dead last. Then he's a middle of the pack quarterback. That's what he is, middle of the pack.
so which is it? Is
He
he
could
middle
probably
of the
carry
pack or is he bad? Just so that we're on the same
that.
page, because
Okay, let
those are
me.
two very
I
different
think
things.
he's middle of the pack. He's not exceptionally good. He's not exceptionally bad. Last year he was bad, but overall he is a middle of the pack quarterback who could probably carry a playoff team with if they had like good players to surround him, make him look good. You know.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much on the same page here. I do believe, yeah, that this season was pretty much an anomaly. He played exceptionally well this season. And I mean, that is what it is. You're always going to have those players that sometimes just have a big season, and it got him a huge contract. Good for him, right? 2016, that's got to be his rookie year, yeah. So 21st as a rookie really isn't even that bad. So he had two really good seasons to start with, and then wasn't it right after this Super Bowl? This is when Frank Reich left as OC and became the head coach of the Colts, I do believe.
I believe so, yes.
That really was, I think, the beginning of the end. That and the fact that there was just a mass exodus of talent from Philadelphia on the offensive side of the football. Carson Wentz is being asked to do too much. I think it is a point that we can come together on. He can't. I shouldn't say he can't. He doesn't strike me as the type of quarterback that is going to year in and year out be able to carry your franchise to 10 to 12 wins and get you, a playoff win or two and have the one-off kind of, we're going to the Super Bowl type of year. Maybe he would have done that in 2017. Maybe he wouldn't have. We're never going to know. That's revisionist history, right? The fact remains he was not good this past year, as you pointed out, Denver. It's just it honestly kind of pains me, right? Because I want to root for him. He looks the part. I mean, he's a big dude. He can get out of the pocket and move. Like, he's kind of what you want in a quarterback. I just feel like he's being asked to do too much.
Here, before we talk about our next quarterback, I want you to predict the next team he goes to, and I have a serious contender for him. What if he gets traded to the Colts?
I would like that a lot. I think
They need a quarterback.
I mean, kind of they do. It depends on whether they want to just sit on Jacoby Brissett for a year and then reevaluate. But I think he needs out of Philadelphia. My problem is I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of Philadelphia. Because I don't think he's either on the same level as Matt Stafford, who we just talked about, or he's a little bit worse, right? I would say.
Yeah.
And he has a massive contract. I just don't see a team really wanting to give up the financial assets that it would take to land him. It just seems like a bit of a stretch right now. If there's a team I want him to go to, it's the Colts, though. I think that would be a good, fresh start for him. And at that point, you'd really, I think, know if he can be a long-term starter for any team in the NFL. Because under Frank Reich, he played really well. And then it was very evident that he and Doug Peterson had a disconnect these last 3 seasons. Even though 2018 and 2019 weren't that bad, it all came to a head and just they fell off a cliff this past year.
Now, we finish off this podcast, our first podcast, with the last big question mark going into the NFL offseason. Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for the Houston Texans, who is very talented, very skilled, like you said, for now. He wants out. I can see why he wants out. The question is, where does he go? How much do you give up? And is his demeanor over this request for a trade, does that change how teams view him? Because he's kind of acting out about it.
He's being a little bit of a diva. I do agree. Now, I just pulled up this tweet because this is fairly recent. This is from late this afternoon. And I think Brett Favre, who unfortunately Denver's face cam is blocking this if you're viewing on YouTube, but this is a quote from, or a statement from Brett Favre, the former All-Pro quarterback, Super Bowl champion from the Packers, as well as the Jets, the Vikings, and everybody else under the sun. Anyway, He, and I quote, said, "You get paid a ton of money to do a certain job and just do it and let the chips fall where they may. I think we make too much money to voice an opinion, but I'm not saying he's wrong. Again, I think it's a different day and time, and it'll be interesting to see how the organization handles it." Again, that's Brett Favre on Deshaun Watson's trade request
I
via
have an
Yahoo
issue
Sports.
with that.
I do too.
I have an
I only bring this up because I think, yeah, Brett Favre maybe took it a little too far. This seems a little bit insensitive to everything going on to me, but we're not trying to make this like uber political. It's just,
Okay. Okay.
yes, I understand that it's very poor timing on Deshaun's part because he just signed that massive deal. So it almost feels like he's, taking the money and running. But I the way we now have the evidence, right? We've had DeAndre Hopkins come out in his defense. We've had Andre Johnson come out in his defense. I'm sure there's been more. Those are just the two that I remember right off the top of my head that say the Texans just aren't run in a way that they really value their star players. And so if that's the case, I want Deshaun Watson out of Houston. I love Deshaun Watson at Clemson. I've loved watching him these past few years in Houston. I think you take away that year that he had to miss because he tore his ACL. I mean, this dude is going to be right up there with just about anybody in terms of his production. I mean, he led the league in passing yards on a team that I'm not sure I could name a receiver. No, I can, but this dude is uber talented. He's been uber talented since he was at Clemson winning natties. It's just a shame that it's going down in this way.
So here's what this quote reminds me of. So for people who will follow along, they will know that I'm an avid WWE fan. The Undertaker came out last week and said that the current product is soft, quote unquote, and it's not hard nosed, and people don't know when to keep their mouth shut because everyone wants to go and talk on Twitter, or Facebook, Instagram. This is the same thing. This is an old guy. I should rephrase that. He's a former NFL quarterback, Super Bowl champion, who is voicing his opinion because back in his heyday, you didn't say stuff like this. You didn't do stuff like this. You just went out and played. And he's right. It is a different day and time. Look, I think Deshaun Watson needs out. Clearly, the Houston Texans don't value their team. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins. I just read a report the other day that they're looking at J.J. Watt playing his last game as a Texan. Like, they don't value their key players. So, my question to you, Dierks, is Deshaun wants out. Say he gets out. Where does he go? Who would you like to see him play for? And logistically, can he get out?
Obviously, I'd love to see him come, about, I don't know, what, 1,400 miles-ish? Nah, not quite that much. We'll say about 1,000. A little bit up to the north, a little bit up to the east. Puts on this really nice, crisp black jersey, black helmet, gold stripe right down the middle. I would love that. Now, is that really realistic? Absolutely not. But that's who I really would like to see him play for because I'm not super stoked about the options the Steelers have moving forward. The thing that we've seen, right, is last I heard, he's really only voiced his opinion and said, I would be willing to go to this team for two franchises. It's the Jets and the Dolphins, right? Or have I missed something in that?
Weird. No, you're right. You're right. And that's just a weird.
Yeah, I agree. Especially the Jets are, from what I understand, his preferred destination. I do not understand that. That to me seems like you're trading like if Houston is a dumpster fire, you're upgrading for like a dumpster fire to go like, I don't know, have like a really nice garbage can and also light it on fire? I
Okay,
mean, like,
okay.
I'd probably rather live in New York than Houston, but that's another franchise that just doesn't seem to really have its stuff together anyway. It's very
You know what it
puzzling to
reminds
me
me of?
in that regard.
It reminds me of just recently the James Harden thing when he was like, "These are the first two destinations I want to go," and then he expanded it to pretty much the whole league. I think what he's doing is we're playing reverse psychology. Instead of going to the best team possible, he wants to go to the. He's like, "Hey, put me on the worst team possible to get him to like a mid-level team." But here's my thing: he's not going to the Steelers.
Oh no, I said that. Yeah, the question you asked though, to be fair, is who do you want to see him play for? I answered the
Yeah,
question.
yeah. I would love to see him play for the Bears. I think that would be he would
The
make our
Bears
team.
have money, Mitch. Stop your fucking whining.
Money Mitch can suck. Okay.
Whoa. We're trying to keep this PG. All right.
Look, I know I'm becoming a little too much, but
The other
Deshaun
one,
Watson.
right? Not to cut you off, but the other one. I mean, I'm not sure the Dolphins make a. They certainly make more sense than the Jets, right? They certainly make more sense than the Jets. I'm still not 100% on board. Although, I mean, at least he'll win games if he goes to Miami, right?
So like, what the fuck do you do with Tua?
Well, that
Do you trade Tua to
he
the
would be part
Texans?
of the trade, 100%.
Oh,
That's been reported. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if that was Shefty that an offer I know has been made, right? But or it was made, in the past week or so. That included, many picks to and like so they would just be committing to Deshaun long term because they aren't convinced to showed them enough, and that's the totally different topic. But
well, today we've just discussed the NFL and how great the NFL can be. Look, we want to wrap it up here, get you guys going. We want to be the only podcast you eventually listen to, but we understand that people have things to do.
ambitions, I like it.
Yeah, we got goals too. So I want to personally thank you for listening to us, whether it be on SoundCloud for right now, YouTube, coming to watch us on Twitch, if you can make Twitch streams. That is huge to us as we gain and continue and have a more consistent schedule with the second go around. We're hoping for a little bit more continuity, creativity,
Engagement.
focus. Yes. And we want to build a community where you can come in, say your piece, but we can always agree to disagree. That's what this podcast, I wanted to teach through this podcast. No matter how much we might yell one day or agree the next, we can always agree to disagree. That's what I want to take from this first podcast to the next one to the next one. And I will say that every podcast because that'll be my thing. So thank you for coming out. We appreciate you. Keep up on our social medias, anything like that to follow updates when we're out going live, when we post on YouTube, things like that.
Absolutely. For our audio only audience, you can go follow us on Twitter. Our handle is Dierks Denver Pod. That is Dierks and then Denver Pod. And then our YouTube channel, same thing, Dierks and Denver Podcast. And you can find us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/DirksDenverPod. We appreciate you guys no matter how you're listening to us. Just to piggyback off what Denver said, we have what we feel is a better plan this time around. And I think I speak for both of us when we say we're just in this to, have some fun and hopefully get to a point where we have a small community of people that we're having fun with, right? We love to talk crap with each other about sports, games, pop culture, all this other stuff. And, we just want to share that a little bit. We're not claiming to be the most entertaining two guys on the planet, but I think there's a space for, a community that we envision, like Denver was saying, where we can all come together and just shoot the shit a little bit, and again, agree to disagree and have fun.
So thank you guys for coming out, listening to the first podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Follow our social media. So the next podcast we go live, we're trying to shoot for maybe a couple times a week, going live, recording, letting you be involved as we become involved. I have a lot of learning to do. I've never done this type of stuff. Dierks just started a couple months ago, so he's still learning as well. So let's learn, let's grow. One of my favorite streamers is Nick Merckx, and he always says peace and love, baby. I love that saying, so peace and love. Tell somebody you love them, Tim the Tap Man. Like, that's what we are. That's what we inspire to be. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.